Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are here at beautiful Clash Endurance, Miami. My guest, he took fourth here last year. Awesome finish with Mr. Ben Canute, Mr. Chris Leiferman. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to see you, man. And so let's talk about this race, because was that the first time you'd been on the Speedway, or did you race Daytona as well last year?
Raced Daytona at the end of, was that 2020?
Yeah.
And then did Clash here, Challenge Miami at the time last year. Yep.
And fun, it's so different racing on the Speedway.
It's cool. I dig it, and I really like the Clash Miami's course with the road course. It definitely breaks up the bike. It's just not the monotony of an oval, so it's dynamic. It's crazy. You think that because race cars are able to turn on this, like bike, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be an aero the whole time, but no, you have to get out of the bars. You have to be savvy on the bike.
Well, what I like about the variety of the different Clash events, Daytona, is put your head down and go. Mm-hmm. This, because of the road course and because you start in the middle of the afternoon when it's going to be windy, you've got to be a bike handler.
And warm. But yeah.
Yes, and warm. Right, exactly.
But yeah, windy. Yeah, there's definitely a wind, and the berms on the side of the track don't block it, so you're definitely exposed to it.
Have you tried, when you've been on the track here in Daytona, have you tried to make use of the bank at all?
No, I think it's more efficient to stay as tight as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last year, there was you were right up there at the top with everybody else, right? You had Frodeno up there, and you had Magnus, and yourself, and Ben, and Lionel.
Lionel, yeah, man, that guy can run. Came off the bike with him.
Yes.
And, there's a sweet photo of me, Canute, Von Berg, and Lionel. And, yeah, he just took off. Did
that surprise you?
It kind of did, just because – first race of the season, and he just went out because I knew he wanted to beat Jan, and rightfully so. And he went for it. Right. And
that's a lot of guts. Because that's early. It's not like you're running a 5K.
No, it's not. And he went hard at the beginning, and I was like, no, it's not going to happen. But it did. I mean, he didn't beat Jan, but he didn't blow up, and he came out with second place. Ben third, fourth. Yeah.
Well, I know we were sitting here at the finish going, okay, Leiferman's got third. I'm sure you were thinking the same thing.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. I won't let that happen again. Yeah.
But I have seen that with Ben. I remember a couple years ago at Island House, Terenzo Bizzotti had what I thought was a big lead, and Ben just put it in a gear I didn't know he had and outsprinted him at the finish.
Yeah,
he smells that finich line.
It's that ITU gear. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So take me back getting into this, all this stuff. Originally you got into try to gain a little fitness, lose some weight. Yep. When was that?
Yeah. 08, 07?
Okay.
Yeah. Junior year of college, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
And when did you go from, this is just a little workout thing and I'm losing some weight, to I could become a pro?
Well, I didn't know that I could become a pro. I didn't know what pro was. I didn't know what...
You couldn't spell pro.
No, I was just going around the Minnesota circuit, I guess. Just all the lakes that are there, and they had races every weekend. So I was kind of bouncing around there, and then did the Lifetime Fitness in Minneapolis. Then I was like, there's one in Chicago, there's one in Dallas, and
New York.
New York. I ended up going down to Dallas at the final because I had qualified for it in Minneapolis.
As an age grouper.
Yeah. So then went down there, and it's like, wow, this sport is a lot bigger than what I see here in Minnesota. And then when I went out to Colorado, transferred schools to CSU in Fort Collins, and there's a tri club there. And I was like, there's a club? Like, I just this whole world of triathlon just kept opening up in front of me.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh wow, this is a real sport.
Yeah.
And then kind of went from there.
So what were you going to get your degree in before this little detour?
Yeah, it's health and exercise science.
Oh, so it fit right in.
Well, I was starting to get in triathlons in Minnesota. That was the transfer of schools, transfer of majors, and actually a whole lifestyle change. Yep, it was great.
So your brother was a cyclist, and did he sign you up for a race?
Yeah, he did. My very first triathlon. So he told me to start swimming, gave me a bike, and told me to start swimming. So
that was it.
It was an indoor triathlon in Mankato, Minnesota, and I won that. I think maybe 76 people showed up to it.
Yes.
But hey,
it's on the resume.
W
baby.
is a W.
A W is always a W. So when did you get to the point where you thought, this actually could be a profession? I could be good at this.
I raced Memphis in May. Don't know what year, and I raced it as a pro. That was my first pro race, and I ended up winning that. And then I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to continue doing more. This is when Rev 3 was pretty prevalent.
Yeah.
So that whole circuit was there. I was doing some more bigger races, got into halves.
Right.
And then, I guess it was about that time during the Rev 3 circuit that I was really, like, I can continue to do this. Yeah, yeah.
So how'd you end up getting to Kona for 2019?
That must have been Louisville.
Okay.
In 18.
And
I won Louisville.
You won Louisville, so that puts you in Kona.
Yeah.
And then you go to Kona, so now you've gone from a guy who didn't even know this, couldn't spell triathlon, to now you're at the starting line with the greatest people on the planet. There's Jan Frodeno, there's Lionel Sanders, there's all these guys, and you get 10th as a rookie, which is pretty darn amazing. And you 252 your first time out. And when I look at the splits, 51:29, 424, 252, 813. I mean, that's something that somebody does after 4 or 5 years, not their first time. Did you surprise yourself?
I did, in the sense that I got 10th place, but I didn't surprise myself in the times or in the splits. I think I just played a conservative race. But looking at all those splits, you're like, okay, I can get better there, I can get better there, I can get better there.
Especially, I look at 424. I'm going, okay. Where it used to be 424 was you're one of the top guys off the bike. Now guys are going 405.
I think that year Werf went
408.
No, I think it was like 14.
Okay, went 414.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
oh, you're right.
Yep. But yeah, no, you just see different ways to come out of it, and. Right. But at that same time, faster times, all the times across the board have gotten faster.
Yep.
So it's I think in these last 2 years, the game of triathlon has changed significantly.
Yeah. Because the deal is, it used to be if somebody was riding way off the front like that, they really couldn't run that well. Right. They were trying to get some prime camera time. Now everybody, especially with the way ITU racing has changed, where Brownlee and Javier made it from swim fast, ride around in circles, run fast, to swim, ride fast, and run fast.
Right off the front.
So those guys are coming in, Gustav and Christian, those guys are coming in riding a bike.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're no joke.
No joke, right.
Yep.
So you come off of your debut in Kona, and you get 10th, and everything's looking up. You're heading into the off season, and the world shuts down.
Yeah, that was tough. I was in Tucson training at the time.
Yeah.
And ended up cutting it a week short, and just went back to Colorado, and we're like, don't know what to do. That was the couple days after they shut down Oceanside.
Right.
And the NBA shut down on that Wednesday,
yes.
And then the following Sunday we went back to Colorado because we didn't know if we were going to get stuck in the state. So yeah, didn't know what to do.
Because the deal was, it was not like, okay, we're going to delay everything for 2 years. It was, okay, now we're going to move Kona to, we're not going to be able to do it in October.
Yep.
We didn't know that until sort of later. Then we're going to move to February. Then we're moving to the following October. So it kept changing. So you sort of had to keep training.
Yeah.
If you had just known, okay, everything's going to be canceled for 2 years, a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I built a shed in April, so that killed some time.
Now where? In Colorado?
Yeah, outside our house.
Okay.
Yeah, I needed a lawnmower shed, so I just built one. And but yeah, no, I was still training. I was doing something, and but yeah, really didn't know what to do. And I think I got in a bike accident and broke my ankle, but then eventually came back and was able to get the Great Floridian in.
Yes.
Ironman Florida, and then Daytona was also that year.
Right.
So I was in Florida 3 separate times.
And then this last year, you had stress fracture. Leading into Collins Cup and all the stuff that I'm sure you were gearing up for.
Yeah, that was frustrating. That was nearly a career ender. Yeah.
Really?
It was just tough. That was one of the hardest stress fractures I've ever had to deal with.
Where in your foot?
It was the fourth metatarsal on the right foot.
Yep. With no blood flow, with getting blood back in there to.
Oh, it's a tough one. Yeah, just time.
So how have you come back from that, and what are the goals for this year?
To stay healthy. So I think if I can toe the line healthy and with a proper build-up, everything else will fall into place. St. George is in May, possibly Frankfurt at the end of June, and then Kona in October.
So,
and then then the PTO races lead up
in
to
between.
that. Yeah.
That's a lot of racing.
It is, and that was another goal for this year, is to race more. I
Right.
feel like when I have too long a blocks of training, I just kind of get in trouble.
You go too hard and burn yourself out a little bit.
So having a taper and recovery
Yes.
is definitely beneficial for me.
And the goal here, do you feel like because obviously the field's good.
The field's good, and I think the field's going to be good in every race that we do for the rest of history, or for the rest of time.
Yeah.
So it's the first race of the season.
Right.
What can you do?
Right.
Just go out and see what you have. Go through
Find out where everybody else is.
Yeah, go through T1, T2. It is weird, though, to be in March, and usually no, it's March. I got all season to get fit. But St. George is in May, so you're like,
Exactly.
I got 8 weeks.
Yeah, and it's not like the St. George 70.3 regular season race.
Right.
It's World Championship.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So to do are you already qualified for Kona?
I'm not. Nope.
Okay, so you have to hopefully do well at St. George. Or at Frankfurt.
Right.
To go back to Kona.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. It's
Yeah,
going to be a good
thanks.
season.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be good, and a lot of good quality racing, and it just, like I said, if I'm healthy, and everything else will fall in place.
How have you had to adapt to, you had, like you said, you broke your ankle, you have a stress fracture, more strength work now? How have you changed?
I've definitely been to the gym more than I ever have in
Yeah.
my life. I built one in my basement, and it's just super convenient, and
Right.
just always staying consistent with that. But just not overdoing it in training. Less is more, and I've really learned that throughout the years. So with a good coach that understands that I have
Who's your coach?
Ben Day.
Okay, good.
Yep, he's based out of Spain right now, and he just understands that I have a family and a kid and a life, and get a lot of good quality in, and just train smart.
When you look back at the way you trained before, do you look at, oh my God, I wasted a lot of miles out there?
It's yes and no. No, there were some good years in there. I can't deny that. So, and maybe that built me up and gave me a base. Like, you can look at years as base work leading into another year. So rather than just weeks or months. So I can't write it all off. No, there's some good days in there.
Well, and the reality is you're getting into a sport. It's not like you got into sport when you were 10 years old. You got into sport late.
Yeah.
Every mile you did was a building block for what you're doing now.
Right.
Love it. Yeah. Hey, good luck out there
Thanks a lot, Bob.
on Friday. A Friday race, that's a little different.
Yeah, Friday race, 1:45 start time. Get to sleep in. No,
when do you eat? And it's like we're in such a routine.
Yeah,
we're in such a routine when we race at 7 in the morning.
Absolutely.
You know exactly what to do,
Yep.
and you're not going to sleep much the night before. You get to sleep. How do you adapt to that?
Just kind of go back in hours as if you're going to start at 7. So when was dinner? When was lunch? And then just kind of do that same thing with a 1:45 start.
Yeah.
And I guess you don't have to wake up at super early to get that 3-hour breakfast in. 3 hours before.
Dude. Is that what you want to do? Is you want to be eating breakfast 3 hours?
Ideally, yeah. Looking at some glucose levels, you can kind of see how you ebb and flow.
Look at you, scientific guy. I like it, man. Well, of course, that's your background.
Well, yeah, it's something that I still enjoy researching.
Now, how old is it? Son, daughter?
Son. Yeah, he's 1.5 years.
How fun is that?
Yeah, he's good. He's just so much energy. It's amazing at how much energy a little kid can have.
Right.
Yeah.
They never stop.
No, never stops. He does sleep really well, though. But up until he's going to bed, like, he's still running around. Yeah.
But then when he's like one of those guys who goes, and then boom.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think he's eating more than my wife is right now, which is true story, by the way. Yeah. He's 1.5 years and he's eating
just
that much.
Eating
just
everything.
Constantly eating. Yeah. I can imagine what he's going to be like as a teenager.
Oh my God.
We're going to have to get a second fridge. Get a direct line of milk coming from the dairy farm.
All the friends are over.
I know.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, have fun out there. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, man. I love what you're doing. And I love that first time out. Do you look at that as your best race? I mean, obviously you had some wins, but getting 10th first time out in Kona is pretty special.
Oh, man. I got asked that the other day, and I think one of my best races is when I came second at Oceanside.
Yes.
In, I don't know what year it was, but Lionel came in first. But I just felt like that was just a well-executed race.
Every aspect of it.
Yeah. But Mont Tremblant Ironman comes in second, and then that'd probably be about a third place.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you doing Oceanside this year?
I am. Yep.
Very fun.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I like? That's an old school race.
It is.
You swim you start in the ocean, then you come into the bay, into the harbor, and then the bike has three significant climbs.
It's a very honest bike. Yeah.
Very honest bike, and you get wind, that last 10, 12 miles of the bike, and then the run is that concrete. Talk about beating your feet up.
Right. And it's deceiving too. Like,
yeah,
it
there's
just
some
kind of
climbs.
this little slow climb out to the tail end, and then it feels like it's uphill again. I don't know. It's weird. It is a fast run course, but it just doesn't feel like it.
No, and especially when you run up those bridges.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you're barely, I
Yeah.
mean, you guys are moving, but I feel like I'm like barely moving, and
Yeah.
people, that's where all the crowds are to
Yeah.
watch you suffer.
Yep.
Going up those climbs or running up that Wisconsin Street thing. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's but that's what's great is there's crowds.
Right.
And I think
There are
that's
crowds.
really fun about Oceanside is that you have people from even second, third stories, cheering you on, clapping at you, and then you have all the people along the strand, clapping at you too.
Well, and then with this race is you've got a studio audience, not studio audience, but home audience watching Daytona, watching Clash Miami, shot by NASCAR. I mean, it sort of takes the sport to another level.
It does, and I think we need this. We absolutely need this. And Bill Christie has done a good job.
Phenomenal job. And I like how each one of them is different. You know, like the Daytona Speedway is the Speedway. Here you got the road course. At not Laguna Seca, but Watkins Glen, you're swimming, and I think it's like a 4,000-foot climb get to the track, and then it's a road course. It's a lot of climbing and a road course, and I think the road course has some undulation to it. Could fit you well.
Yeah, actually, I dig that.
Yeah, I know you do.
I'm going to reshuffle my calendar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Chris Leiferman has been our guest, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in, and hold on. We'll be back in a second.